Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today's date is November 5th, 2010. It's 5 p.m. and this is my video blog for today. The first thing I guess I should talk about is the election. And I actually, the day after the election, that'd be Wednesday, I actually made a video, and it was 10 minutes. I'm not sure it was, I made a long video, and turns out, what was the problem with it? No sound? Oh no. I thought I was making the video and I had clicked the capture button for a still picture, not the video. So I just decided, but I wasn't sure I was going to keep it anyway because I had just watched, I had everything set up to record, I thought to record the video that I was going to make, and then I had just embedded the video on Show Me Blog about the 11-year-old girl who died of leukemia, and I had put it on my blog, and before I did the video that I was going to make, I wanted to make sure it was embedded properly. So I went to Show Me Blog and had it running and was looking at it to make sure it was okay, and got a little emotional. Some tears came, and everything sort of, I'm a man, so I was fighting it, and then the video came to the end. Okay, that's okay. So I'll do my video, and so I started, but actually just took a still picture. But when I started it, I said I'm going to talk about, the elections on Tuesday. Tears came to my eyes, my voice broke or whatever, not because of the election on Tuesday, but I thought this is going to be an interesting video. And then when I got all done with it, it turns out that all I had was a still picture. So about the elections on Tuesday, I think if you've been following my videos, I'm a liberal Democrat, very liberal Democrat, and so, and I had been following the reports and the news reports, the polls, everything said it was going to be a big win by the Republicans. I was hoping, I knew they were going to have some big, some wins. I was hoping the American voters were going to be a little smarter. And I was hoping that the Democratic base would just get out and vote. And I was hoping that, and thinking that a lot of Republicans would see, and independents would see these teabaggers and just decide, some of them that are so wild and crazy. I thought, well, maybe a lot of those people will just stay at home. But the Republicans won massively. They, of course, took over the House of Representatives. They increased some seats in the Senate. But it's not just that, it's governorships and state legislatures. It was a massive swing away from the Democrats. And so I probably should start crying. Really disastrous for our country, I think. But we've survived Civil War, and we've survived a lot of things. So I guess we can survive the teabaggers and the right wing for a while. It's going to be interesting to see. I think there's going to be tremendous fighting within the Republican Party. That will be kind of interesting to see. It's not something that as a Democrat that I want, because that's not, I want the nation to function. Unlike the Republicans and the teabaggers, they want to, destroy President Obama, and if it means doing disastrous things to the United States, well, then they're willing to do that. Just the same as with when President Clinton was president, it wasn't quite the same, but the fact that they were willing to impeach him and put the United States through that just because they hated the guy's guts. And this is different from that, but I don't know what's going to happen because of the election. It's going to be interesting to see. Well, we got this set up here, don't I? I guess I should. It's going to be interesting to see. Um, I mean, some of the Republicans are talking about uh, not increasing the debt limit, which would throw the United States into default and would be, catastrophic. I mean, I don't know what the effects would be if they would refuse to do that, and they may refuse to do it. I mean, they may pass some type to say, okay, we'll pass. Here's the bill that increases the debt limit of the United States, but attached to it is a bill to repeal, health care for Americans and privatize Social Security. I mean, they may just attach things to it, and the president would have to veto it, and I don't know. So it's going to be. You've got Republicans or Teabag Party people who are saying that they, they don't understand. They think they understand the American system of government, but they don't understand the American system of government checks and balances. Uh, it's designed for compromise, and it's designed for responding on with the House of Representatives, the way it's elected, responding to the American people, but with the Senate being holding back to be careful not to do crazy things. And the teabag people and the Republicans, a lot of them do not believe in compromise. And if you don't believe in compromise and in working with the other side and give and take, then the American system of government won't work. I mean, we would need to change our system of government because that's the way the American system was set up to work. They think compromise is I don't know, selling your daughter into prostitution or I mean they just to them compromise is a totally evil, bad word. And so I don't know what's going to happen. I want to talk about some other things quickly. Uh, my son is moving. I moved with one of my sons to Miami, Florida about 5 years ago or 6 years ago, so that he could go to school and so he could get a job. And he went to school, got his degree, got the job that he wanted. And then, of course, I came back about a year ago, or came to Texas, not back, but I came to Texas. He has now got his job to transfer him to Texas, and so he was hanging around for a couple extra days. He wanted to see a shuttle launch, but they scrubbed again today, so he's on his way. I'm looking at Show Me Blog. Some of you may remember the not high speed, it's actually slow speed. Dallas had a pickup truck back in August 19th, actually. And, well, here I can show it. Show it to you. That's why I set this up. And they had this chase, and a few years ago, worked lived in Carrollton, which is Dallas, a city, close to Dallas. And I worked at FAA Control Tower Security at Love Field. And and this is in the video here you're getting ready to see. So I actually watched this. I'm not sure if it was on the internet or if it was live at the time, but there he's crashing through the gate onto Love Field. I actually worked FAA Control Tower Security at Love Field, also at Addison Field. And so as I was watching this video, I knew the area. That's the area I drove to work, and that's where I worked. What's interesting is the guy, 45 years old, uh, he there was a guard shack there. I guess he barely missed the guard, which interfered with the guard's ability to perform her duties. And federal charges have been filed against the guy. You know, a lot of these people there in these car chases, they go on for an hour and they go through stop signs, red lights, and all that kind of stuff. And then you see, well, he was sentenced to a year in jail or 2 years. And I'm thinking, you know, if somebody does that, give them life in prison. I mean, you know, if you're driving a high-speed car chase through cities and going through stop signs and red lights and stuff, when they catch you. But this guy, which ended with him busting through the love field gate and narrowly missing the security guard on duty there. By narrowly missing the guard, the indictment said Brown interfered with the guard's ability to perform her duties. If convicted, Brown could face life in prison and a fine of $250,000. Well, you know, but that's great, but it won't, you know, it won't happen. Is this Show Me Blog? Oh, I mentioned the video that I'm sure you've probably seen it. The girl was 11 years old, leukemia, and they couldn't find a bone marrow transplant for her. And she passed away at 11 years of age. What else? My foot is still bothering me. It drives me crazy. A number of you have commented on my blog that a foot injury takes a long time to heal, and I know that. Back in the 70s, I was working security at Trinity Lutheran Hospital, and I was on the ground floor of the hospital, and I opened up a stairwell door, and I heard screaming and fighting going on, and so I ran up 6 flights of stairs and broke up the fight. And then for the next couple of weeks or whatever, I was limping. I didn't miss a day's work, but I had to limp. They x-rayed my foot and they didn't find a thing with it. The doctor said it was probably a hairline crack, but that took a long time, so I'm sure this is the same thing. But it's really frustrating. You know, they put a chunk of metal in your chest. You know, they cut you open, put a chunk of metal in your chest. And my problem is my foot. You know, it just makes it so difficult to do anything. Taking the trash out, everything. This is, by the way, Chrome. I really recommend Chrome as a browser over Foxfire and definitely over Internet Explorer. And this is something that you can set up for it. So these are the sites that I go to. I put them here, and it's pretty neat. Makes it, you know, makes it nice. So you saw Show Me Blog. This is Howard's Notebook. Now, Show Me Blog is, I've mentioned that before, running off a TypePad. This is WordPress. I'm hosting it myself. Right here at the top, on this one, I'm in Texas. Governor Rick Perry, who was just reelected to another term, he has a book out. He's on a book tour. And so he's going around, and one of his things he's saying, well, the federal government should just let the states opt out of Social Security. And he said, he mentioned a couple cities and a couple counties or something. He said, well, they were allowed to opt out of Social Security, and things are just fine. They were not allowed to opt, you know, out of Social Security. What the federal government allows is if some public, if a city or a state, a police department or a fire department, if they want, like railroad workers were allowed to do this, if they want to opt out of Social Security because they have their own pension plans, that's allowable. But he made it sound like these counties and cities and everybody and all the the Burger Kings and McDonald's that they could opt out, which is not the case. And two, he said, "Oh, this is just great." It's not great. If you watch the news, I don't know about those counties and those cities. I never heard of them. They got to be really small. But if you watch the news, uh, pension plans in cities, states, California, uh, Florida, Miami, all across the United States, these city pension plans, these state pension plans, these county pension plans, these private police pension plans, they're all in disastrous conditions. And they don't have the money and they're going broke. And a lot of them, I forget a lot of them invested in, there was a thing on TV where they invested in the stock market in some type of bonds or something that they thought was really good for their people. And turned out they were totally worthless. I remember on the news there was one, they spotlighted one city or county in California, and they had just about all their money in that fund. And they were just totally, they didn't have a pension plan anymore. So anyway, Rick Perry is going to be running around the country because he's got a book out, and we're going to be hearing some really stupid and crazy things from him. God help us. So this is Howard's notebook on the screen. I like the Young Turks and the day after, or right after the elections. And I agree with what everything.
That's it. I was right, and if anything, I'm going to double down. Okay, because there was the faction within the progressive movement that said no, 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 play nice. The Democrats need to be supported, and if you just support them enough and you cheerlead for them, they will deliver and they'll win and they'll do this and they'll do that. Well, they didn't, and they lost. Okay, and so the right idea is not to keep supporting Democrats just because they're Democrats.
So he did a raved and ranted more than I do. But what he mentioned in there, it's something I've mentioned in a video and on my blog before, and he's 100% correct. What we have to do, the number one thing that we need to do, which it's going to be impossible to do, but what we need to do is we need public financing for the elections, because the elections are being bought by people with money. And it's, the people in Washington, D.C. are not doing what they think is best. They're doing what corporations and the American Rifle Association and all these groups, they're doing they're doing their bidding. So but there's no way, neither that, that the Democrats don't want to have public financing, Republicans don't, but that's what we need, because that's 85% of our problems with our government. If we could get people in Washington, D.C. who were doing what they thought was the right thing and didn't have to have money, didn't have to get this money and didn't go in there in order to make this money. So anyway, I wanted to show you some more things, but this is running too long. So thank you very much for watching.